the scenario.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Here's a Scenario, a laugh button podcast available all over the internet. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Cannon. With me, as always,
is Mike Feeney, and also
Brendan Sagalow. Thanks, everybody, for listening every week, for listening to the Patreon. If you guys are Patreon members, if not, hop on that shit.
Oh, it's
we
cooking.
have so much more content. I just put up a rap song that I made.
Sag Daddy. I was telling Rosebud, or I was telling a bunch of people the other day, actually, that like you have inhabited this character, and I wasn't making fun of you. It was just a source of conversation where I was like,
okay,
Brendan is doing this writing exercise where he's not rapping as himself, so it's not comedic. But it is funny. But he's rapping as a street man,
as a criminal,
yeah, as street Brendan, and therefore it's like it's an interesting way to kind of like adopt that confidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels fun to do, and it's fun to like, you know, there's therapy in I mean,
what is
pushing a bunch of
shit?
Dude,
also just the Patreon, the way in which it's worded is so fun. Like this sentence makes me laugh so hard. I like making rap songs where I talk about killing and stuff. It's a very fun and relaxing thing for me. I mean, a full lunatic.
And the entire paragraph is so sweet because it's like, hey guys, I'm putting this up here, and if you hurt me, I'll kill myself. That's the veiled message. Underneath all of it.
But don't get it twisted. I got the sticks with the lasers.
It's like, I mean, it's a truly troubling thing to realize what's in your heart.
Yeah, well, you know, so we're putting up everything. Mike's got his edible videos, which are fucking hilarious. I definitely want to see more. I'm a fan of those.
Brendan likes them.
I really like them.
Brendan might be a guest. We got it. So I am going to start bringing in guests where the three of us should do one. Feeney, if you're down, because I know you don't like edibles, but it could be a fun exercise. And, you know, we're going to up the production value a little bit. I got somebody who volunteered to do the editing, and then I actually just got somebody who also would like to shoot it for us or shoot some other stuff. So
hell
yeah, we're gonna keep churning out the content. All of the really, you know, we're doing this podcast for free. It's a hilarious pod. It's escapist. We're getting brand new listeners flooding in every single week. So if you dig our vibe, if you like the three of us as comedians, we're doing an additional this version of the podcast plus a shitload of other types of content. We're doing a Blunts with the Boys, which is a looser type of podcast. We're doing sketches. We're putting up stand-up, exclusive watch-alongs, Kong versus Godzilla. We got Mortal Kombat coming up. We're literally throwing the kitchen sink at you guys. I don't know if there's any other Patreon that consistently puts up as much content as we do. So check it out, patreon.com/scenariopod, and tell your friends about this podcast. Here's the scenario.com. Subscribe, write the reviews, do all the free things that you possibly can to support, because we know not everybody has the means to sign up for the Patreon. But hey, we're putting quality stuff out there right now through Laugh Button. They're helping us out, churn out the social media stuff. So we're really bringing it.
Oh yeah, dude. And I say we get into the questions. What do you guys say?
I say
let's do it.
No.
Let's keep talking about rap songs.
Yeah, let's talk about the psychology behind Brendan's hip hop career.
Yeah, Feeney might start up a Mumford and Sons like band. Let's just throw everything against the wall.
Oh, I really could picture Feeney playing the mandolin, singing Ophelia.
Oh, Ophelia.
I'm gonna be one of those like French EDM DJs who wears like very dark glasses in like a dark room, but has just the cryptic mustache, which you can't tell if it's good or evil.
That would be so cool, dude.
It's so funny because you with a haircut looks like that, right? Like it's that version of the mustache. And then you with like your hair right now, which is a little grown out, you look like the dad with a warm Bud Heavy and a beer koozie.
Yeah.
Den, you know, with like with your
Sounds
son's
great.
framed Little League but cover of a magazine picture
Yeah.
right behind
Yeah.
you. You know, like stud athlete, and it's his dipshit picture right behind you.
Sponsored by like a dentist. I'm like
A local dentist office. Dr. Klempner.
Dude, Dr. Ping Wing Wong, Feeney, my dentist, had a Little League fence sign.
I love
Wing
that.
Wong?
Of course he did.
Yeah, that was my dentist, Sagalow, Dr. Ping Wing Wong. That was my first dentist.
Irish guy.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Irish dude.
That's so funny. Okay, boys, if you could say one sentence to the current Pope, what would it be? One sentence to the current Pope.
Let the children go, you sack of shit.
Yeah. I mean, what else is there to kind of bring up besides like, hey, you know this stuff is happening. What's going on? You're like the chief of priests. So
I don't
Yeah,
even... Go ahead,
I think I would say you guys have fallen out of such favor. It's in your best interest, at the very least, to look the other way on gay marriage, you lunatics.
yeah.
Well, isn't that weird that like the Pope who initially was like the most progressive Pope saying gay people deserve to be hugged or whatever is now like doubling back and being like, actually, they should be thrown into the deepest fire pit known to man.
Is he really doubling back?
Yeah, it's like all this weird shit, and it's like, wait, you guys think you're gonna somehow swing public back to you by going? I mean, maybe they will, because if they go like full draconian Trump level, where they're like, oh no, everybody that we hate is the loser and all that stuff, and people are like, yeah, they can rally beyond the children's sex.
Man, he was so cool. I remember him coming out being like, gays are cool, everybody's cool, black's cool. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, which is like, wait, that's not a Catholic rule. It's like, sorry, that's just a personal opinion.
Yeah, was that a thing that you guys had an issue with? Yeah.
It's either that, it's obviously like the kid sex thing is the easiest thing to come down on them about, obviously, but the billions, maybe trillions of dollars in gold and priceless heirlooms that they have that they could literally sell off and feed the world and cure homelessness and all that, and hunger and all that shit. It's like, how about do that instead of like, funding fucking Johnny Cochran for some asshole in Baltimore that fisted some child.
Yeah, I would actually, I'm turning my sentence into a question. I would say one question to the Pope, and it would be, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
God's servant. You?
Here's my question. How dare you?
How dare you? Okay, here we go.
What's funny about how dare you is it's structured like a question, but it's not. Because how is the beginning of a question.
Aggressive.
Yeah. I've always wondered that in the what's it called? In that episode of The Office, because Kelly says that to Ryan. She goes, I have a question. How dare you? And it's like, I don't think, it isn't a question, but it's fun that it's like,
I think it is.
It is a question.
Now that we're saying it, I think it is. Like, how do you dare? How dare you? How dare you do these things?
Yeah, the question is like why would you do, like, what gives you the right to do this, or like,
how do you dare?
It's different. It's different versus how do you dare? How dare you is a fossilized expression, and it's basically lost,
much like Catholicism.
Yeah, exactly. It isn't so much a question as it is an exclamation. Versus, so it's like a so be it kind of a thing.
Right.
Of course.
And the tone in which she said it obviously was not a question. It was more of a pointed statement.
Right.
It does.
But that is one of those things where you're like, I'd be hard pressed to argue that it isn't a question, but I guess, English scholars are like, you're fucking out of here.
You fucking idiot.
Yeah.
But
how dare you think it's a question? I mean, it's not, Brendan. Why do you
Brendan is the best, because he's getting
you
clarity and then confused and then adamantly clear about the wrong thing.
I'm right on this. What
do you mean you're right? I came up with the idea, you fucking dunce. This is why you're tweeting out my jokes.
I'm not tweeting out your jokes. I stopped getting close to tweeting something that we might have said in a conversation.
It's like you're tweeting out you miss 100% of the opportunity, the shots you don't make, quoted by Brendan Sagalow, quoted by Wayne Gretzky, quoted by Michael Jordan.
Nice. And now what is the difference between you saying that and me just tweeting some shit? Because you just said a joke. No, I'm over it. All All right, I say let's move on. Let's move on to another anger-filled question.
It's so funny that Brendan, I'm over it. Like, he does that thing where he dismisses it as no longer worthy, even though
don't
he's
roll your
the
eyes.
criminal.
Why am I the criminal?
You're the one committing the theft. And then when you get caught, you're like, I didn't even want this piece of shit. And
Yeah,
then you
you're like,
throw
forget
at
it.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done
you.
with this.
Yeah. That's how I live my life. Get used to it.
As a liar and a criminal.
And a bad
bad
guy.
More a criminal than a liar.
Both.
I will
hand in
lie
hand.
if it helps my crimes.
Yeah.
And I will crime if it helps my lies.
Yeah, if my lies are figured out, I will crime.
Call me on a lie, and I will crime you.
I will crime you. Okay. If you could have one person from history live his or her full life over again starting now, who would you pick? I'm going to say Jesus. Let's get some Jesus in the world right now.
Jesus would have got canceled.
I mean,
Why?
canceled and thrown into a padded cell long
Yeah.
ago.
Oh yeah.
I mean, how many times has Christ potentially come back? But his soul has entered somebody who's sitting in their own shit in Port Authority, and they're just like, well, you're off with the other vagrants.
Yeah, God just keeps sending him into like homeless people and psychopaths that are like serial killers.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's
Jesus
like
Christ.
Hicks that see aliens. You know what I mean? It's like the people that are so easily dismissed are the ones that are probably actually like being touched by the truth.
But it's like starting like in this question, it's living their full life starting now. So he's just a baby.
So, but
we
wait a
won't
sec.
even see cool Jesus yet.
Here's the question about it, though. It's like, is this going to be a thing like if they relive their life, everything they didn't exist, or this is like a renewal second run and now they're going to create and do all new things?
Right. Like in 2054, are we going to see this new Jesus be nailed to a board?
To a TikTok.
Well, because here's talk about the "Oh No" song.
Yeah.
Now,
oh no! Oh no!
see, now I'm thinking that if I'm going to bring somebody back from history, who I don't know why, but one of the first people that came to my mind, again, if it's not a thing to where if they're going to be able to create and give new stuff, I was thinking Robin Williams, because it'd be nice to get another new life worth of material out of, and just, joy that he brings. But if it's like he's only going to do the shit that he already created, but over again, then it's like, well, let's just leave the man alone. He's troubled.
Yeah. No, I think it's like bringing him back from a baby and then just letting him live in this world and
Right.
Not make the same choices.
How fast? So this is how my brain works. Is I went from Mrs. Doubtfire to they should remake Mrs. Doubtfire to how would they do that? It would be a trans person to Caitlyn Jenner being Mrs. Doubtfire. Like that's just how I got here. But how much would you move to California and vote for CJ if she came out to "Dude Looks Like a Lady" by Aerosmith?
Oh yeah, I mean, you got my vote.
I'd be like, I don't care what your platform is. I fucking like your sense of humor.
Yeah, I'm flying to your state and I'm registering as a voter in your state.
They're making a new Mrs. Doubtfire, though.
No,
Are they? With Kevin Hart?
That was announced. Let me look it up,
I
because
bet
it
it's
was
with
definitely.
Kevin Hart.
I thought that was,
It was-
a joke with Kevin Hart.
No.
Like they joked about potentially.
Oh, I don't
redoing
know
it
the
with
Kevin Hart thing.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that, but there is a.
Just trying to put another powerful black man in a dress.
Damn.
Oh, it does. There is an article here that says Kevin Hart is on a mission to remake Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, please call off your mission.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nobody is interested in fucking seeing that whatsoever. I was listening to this "What About Bob" podcast, which is really great. The rewatchables on the Ringer. Once you're done with this, check that out. And it was all about "What About Bob." And this guy Van, who works for the Ringer, came up with an all-black cast of who would play who, and he did a really good job. And at first, they were like, "You can't put Kevin Hart as Bob. Like you just can't, like, even though that's the obvious choice and he would be the one that would sell tickets to see the movie, it's like that would ruin the movie."
I've
And then
actually
he was like, JB Smoove would be the perfect black cast version of What About Bob.
I've actually never seen What About Bob. That's the Bill Murray movie, right?
Yeah, we got to do a watch along. I mean, that's almost not even worth doing a watch along because you should sit and enjoy that movie.
Okay.
It's so fucking good.
Okay, it's on Netflix.
It's fantastic. It's one of like it's I think it's one of those comedies that if I really like thought about it, it would definitely be in like a top.
It's my top
10.
5.
I was gonna say it'd probably be in my top 10 of like best comedies if I really like thought about it, because it's just, and every time you watch it, it's like funnier than you remember it the last time.
Well, because he's so excellent at annoying people, but somehow remaining likable. I don't like that. That's such an ability and a gift that I don't have. You know, I could be one of those things. I can kind of be likable, or I can really irritate people to the point where they're not happy. They're fucking livid, and nobody is enjoying it.
It's just so funny. Into
does
Mike's psyche a little bit. He goes, I can kind of be likable, but I can really annoy people.
He does that in really every single one of his movies, if you think about it. I mean, it's like that's his whole. It's every even Lost in Translation. He's always, and even that new one he came out with, Rashida Jones. It's like he's like annoying, but he is and like arrogant in a lot of these movies. But he's also still very charming. He's charming, is what he is.
It's who he is.
Oh,
he's not the best guy in the world, but he could fucking win anybody over.
Yeah. He'd win me over in a second. Yeah. I'd never wear a picture of him on a T-shirt and walk around like a fucking lunatic, like every fucking 18-year-old that went to UCB does. But
that's such a college kid thing. Like I like comedy and I'm in college.
Do you know what I like saying to people? Is Bill Murray had soft pillows in his house. And I knew that to be fact. I told you. I used to sleep over his house when I was a kid. Is Feeney frozen or disgusted?
I think he's frozen.
Oh, okay, good.
But he does look disgusted.
Holding it for a while, being like, "You never mentioned this. I don't like you. What's happening?"
His VPN is all messed up. You know what's would be a funny answer for this question is if he brought back Kurt Cobain and then in 27 years he just kills himself again. You're like, God damn it, man, come on.
We gave you all the
a second
tools
chance.
of affirmation and love.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, now you have more things to complain about.
Yeah, or bring.
Well,
back
that's what I was thinking with.
Dies of heart
with
failure.
Robin Williams is like we just hug him a lot this time.
Yeah. We go every once in a while. You go, hey, you all right, man?
Yeah, we keep him away from the fucking store and the mounds of cocaine that was just shoveled down his throat by the.
Yeah, but if he was going by the store now, it wouldn't be the mounds of coke. It'd be like a little bit of coke.
Little bumpies. Little
bumpies.
He could probably do that in moderation. You're right.
Yeah.
Don't
Red
get
Brendan,
mad.
you can have this one beer.
I can't have one of anything. It all just comes in floods.
Brendan, I talked to Brendan at like 11 a.m. yesterday, and then we played up until when we played video games at 1:30 a.m. Brendan's consistent and regular mantra was, "I'm so high right now."
Yeah,
for like almost for like a good 19 hours.
Yeah. Welcome.
Well, yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, yesterday, I mean, we smoked a blunt and then shot hoops.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. It's very fun. Feeney, you need to join us one day because it's very fun to watch Brendan discover his body. Like I watched it. I was teaching him. I'm teaching him like some real basics with basketball in terms of how to like stand like an athlete with bent legs and on the balls of your feet and gain some balance. And I'm pushing him and stuff like this. And he's okay. Like Brendan's way more athletic than you would think. He can really like handle his body a little bit. And I was like, dude, you were one adult away from showing interest in you as a kid, from having a completely different childhood.
Yeah. He could have been like a little fucking like a little what a little nose tackle or something like that. I guess you were. But he was very.
That's so funny you said that because I told him yesterday. I was like, you play basketball like a high school football player.
I'm all like,
yeah.
I'm like a goon. Okay, next question. If one of your parents was to be a famous person from any time in history, who would you want them to be?
Not Bill Murray. I know that firsthand.
Oh, yeah, because you want him in your life.
Well, I think that kind of goes out the window, I guess, right? Like,
yeah, any famous person, it's all kind of...
Like, how often does Kim Kardashian see her kids? How often?
Probably
because
never.
I
Just
think
for her
of
Insta stories.
Yeah, true. Like, I think of my life and how, we're doing this podcast and then I do spots and all this stuff. And I'm trying to piece together also being a dad and a husband and all this shit. And it's like some days it's really sparse that I see my son. And it's like, imagine if I was successful.
Oh my God.
Like, imagine if I had a $1 billion industry relating to, it's like Kevin Hart, same thing. It's like, when do you parent? You definitely can't be a dad. You can't.
Well, that was the thing with Eddie Murphy that it's like that was why he basically was like, I'm out, because he's like, I didn't get to be a dad, and then he's like, now I just. People are like, I've heard him on a few podcasts when he was promoting Coming to America, and it was just so funny that everyone's like, so what are you like? You're sitting there and you're just fucking like, you're working on the next movie when you're at home, or you're fucking thinking about stuff. He's like, no, I'm just sitting on my couch with my family. They're like, right, but then you're like thinking about new bits, or you're like worried about like the industry. He's like, no, I'm very, very rich. I'm just sitting on the couch with my family. Like he's just like, I don't understand what you don't understand.
He has a full court basketball game of children. He has 11 kids, like with a sub.
He can bench a kid,
with a sub. I bet he does.
I bet he
Melvin, you go sit over there.
Yeah.
If you name your kid Melvin, you're just a fucking asshole.
Name?
Melvin? Oh yeah.
His kid's name is.
No, that's not one of his real kids' names.
Like,
But I'm saying that I thought you just asked if that's a real name. I was like, yeah.
No, Melvin is also a front wedgie and a pussy. But yeah, that's a terrible name. And Melvin Murphy would have been that is a curse.
I kind of like that name, actually. Melvin Murphy. Seems like
Melvin only works if it's Melvin Murphy, apparently.
Yeah. You can't. If it's Melvin anything else, you need to die.
Melvin Smith sucks.
I would like a Melvin Mervin.
Melvin
Mervin.
That sounds like something that would grow on your body. Your doctor's like, you have a bad case of Melvin Mervins.
It also sounds like you're having a stroke in the middle of saying a name. Yeah, Melvin Mervin.
Yeah.
Melvin Mervin.
It sounds like you're speaking another language eloquently. Mervin. Melvin Mervin.
I want my parent to be like Jackie Chan, so that like every once in a while when he's walking to the bathroom, I just throw a knife and he's like, whoa, or something like, not so fast.
Oh, Jackie Chan would be good because he really only, he had like a 20-year run, but he really only had like a 5-year controlled run where he was never home, probably just on every single movie set.
Right. Well, this is what you want, right? When you're a successful, when you're somebody famous kid, you want them to not just be famous for their talent. So if it's like Jim Carrey and you're a kid, then you have to like follow his talent with a talent. But if you have like a person like Michael Jordan, who is a basketball player, yes, and his kids probably will play basketball, but he also has established the Jordan brand where you could just come up and eventually be the fucking CEO of that brand. So you can fail into being, a multinational CEO.
And I think that I think there's actually less pressure to be Michael Jordan's son or LeBron James's son versus like, fucking, I don't know, Julius Randle's son. Because it's like, if you're like, everyone's going to be like, he's not going to be as good as the greatest basketball players of all time. But you're like, come on, you can be as good as Julius Randle if you fucking apply yourself. You know what I mean? Like,
first of all, that's heresy considering how well he's playing, Feeney. Come on,
but that's what I'm saying because no one expected him to play this well. Right. So they're like, see, even if Julius Randle could be Julius Randle, you could be Julius.
I would agree with you with anybody except LeBron. So Jeffrey Jordan and Marcus Jordan, they never had those expectations. They didn't grow up really in the social media age, or at least Jordan didn't. So they weren't aware of who these kids were as they were growing up. They just kind of like got parceled out photos and all that stuff, and now they're like Instagram thought guys basically who flash their father's cash and jewelry. It's embarrassing.
Wow.
But somebody like Bronny Jr., LeBron James, he's now one of the best basketball players in the country for his age group, so he's getting even earlier attention on a national scale than his father did, and his father was the first one that gained attention at 16, being on the cover of Slam magazine, born to a fucking 16-year-old in shithole Akron, Ohio, and then getting all this national notice and expectations of all this stuff, living up to it, exceeding it, and now his firstborn is basically facing the entire thing all over again.
Well, at least if nothing else, his father has like, the ability to be like, hey, there's precedent here. I've been through this. Let me tell you how hard it's going to be,
Yeah.
Well, but he does do that, but also LeBron is greatness. Like, he's also like, I do think my son is capable of greatness, and I think he like has it in him. So he's setting high expectations. But I think like Bronny Jr. has a tough upbringing because he's also named LeBron James Jr. Like, that's fucking brutal.
Yeah.
He might as well be named In a Shadow.
Yeah, Puxatawny Phil. But he and LeBron has actually expressed like, I wish I didn't do that. I wish I didn't give him my name. I thought it was a thing because I wanted to be a great dad, and it was a time of his life where he's like, I want to like stake ownership in this kid because I want to be there for him, and he's part of me, all that stuff. But he's like, now he has to live up to that fucking name. Like, that name is just stuck to him for the rest of his life. Meanwhile, the middle kid is like a limp-wristed like half a queen that's still pretty good at basketball, but nobody really pays attention to him.
I do think that people that name their kids after them are like a level of like narcissists that can't be undone. And this is coming from somebody who my dad wanted to name me Thomas, the same name as him. But it's just like there's such a lack of creativity to that, and also just like this is me, but littler. So here it is, little Tom, and you're like, I don't like that's just like
it's like my bit. It's a mulligan. It's a life mulligan for a lot of people who think that it's just not gonna pan out for them. Here's my second shot.
But that's such like an unrealistic look into not your bit, but like naming your kid your name and being like, this is a new me is like so unrealistic. Because that kid trips once and then he's like, I'm afraid of dogs or something. And then it's like, oh, that wasn't me. Fuck. Now I gotta have another fucking kid.
Not to mention that, especially now, it's like the social media things. It's like, if my kid's named Mike Feeney, he already has an uphill climb.
He's not getting into a single college. It's like that's why people were like, oh, you didn't name him Michael Jr. And it's like, do I want fucking like deep inside the rabbit hole metadata attached to my son's name? To fucking schools?
Yeah, I'm gonna name my kid Rodrigo.
That is so funny, dude. Yeah.
Oh man, maybe I'll like name my next kid like Dances with Streams or something like that. Dances with Streams Canada to a pure Native American.
It's funny though with like, because I get if your name was LeBron James Jr. From us, our point of view, from Mike, and Brendan, we're like, dude, you could live up to that. You could have that ingrained. Like, I'm LeBron James Jr. I need to fucking live up, and it could push you. But if you're LeBron James's kid, you're seeing him walking around, farting, scratching his ass. You're like, this guy's not that great, okay?
No, but I think that actually endears him to people, like, because it could go one of two ways, right? He could take that name as a badge of honor and be like, I will work to the level I can, like, I'll get to the height of my potential and try to reach it as best as I possibly can. Or it can be that kid who's at a bar in a pastel button down with 3 buttons down to his navel and he's sweating and he's like, do you know who my fucking dad is?
Yeah.
Do you know who my fucking dad is?
Do you know the worst part about that too? About potential is like you never realize when you've realized your potential until after you've already peaked.
Yeah.
Well, that's
and then
what
you're
I was
like,
talking
oh
about.
fuck, that was it.
That's what I was talking about on our Blunts with the Boys, where I was like, who knows? We might have been the best we've already been. What a sad thing.
Patreon. Yep. All right. Let's go to another one. If you could own one painting from any collection in the world, but were not allowed to sell it, which work of art would you select?
I already know this, but I don't know this. If that's what makes sense. It was a painting I saw in the Louvre that was in Paris that was so like beautiful. It was just like this portrait of like, somebody from, fucking 16 who gives a fuck or whatever. Yeah. But it was so realistic, and it was like this oil painting, but like it was of like this little like kid that was, they had him like propped up against a thing, and he looked like there was just so much emotion and expression in his face. And granted, I might have taken an edible before going in there, but I did feel like emotionally moved by this thing where I'm like, this is, and it was ironically like it was when we, in the first 6 minutes we were in there was this one painting, I just kept being like, this is a picture. Like, this is a picture. It's so realistic. And that one really
did it for me. There are some paintings like that, like those oil paintings that are intentionally as realistic as humanly possible and as emotive and all that stuff, where when you look at them, you hear string instruments.
Yeah.
Like it literally, it creates an auditory response in your brain where you're like, this is overwhelming.
Yeah, dude. You know what painting does that a little bit for me? That big one where all the people are hanging out. It's like super famous. They're hanging out at the park. It's like from like and it's like from like the 1800s or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's a cool one. I always, when I look at that, I do kind of hear music.
When I look at that painting, I always think of the movie The Witches. Have you ever seen that? With when the witches like dose kids with chocolates and they turn into rats.
Oh, no. Maybe.
Angelica Houston is in it. I think they just remade it with Anne Hathaway on Disney Plus. Terrible idea. But the original is like, it's fucking terrifying, especially as a kid, because it's like a scary movie for kids. But in the paint, like when they would take a kid or whatever, sometimes the kid would show up in one of those kind of paintings. I think it's like a park busy painting you'd like see. You're like, wait, is that?
I think I did see that.
I think it's Ferris Bueller's Day Off is what I think of when they're both. It just keeps showing him and them get close. That painting is called A Sunday Afternoon on the Island of Le Grand Jeté.
Oh wow, yeah, I really like that one
by George Surratt.
That'd be kind of that might be kind of basic, but whatever.
No, but that's great. I mean, even like the cafe, some of those like Van Gogh ones, like those when I went to the Van Gogh Museum, are like that. He's probably my favorite, and they're doing a immersive.
I just bought tickets
Van
to
Gogh
that
exhibit. Yeah. Oh, buddy,
I bought 2 tickets on for my birthday. I was like,
to go by yourself?
No, I'm gonna
future girlfriend that you'll meet.
Well, I just bought 2 tickets, and I'm gonna see who's around that week. You know, whatever.
When are you going? I got tickets for July.
June 4th, my birthday, 2 p.m.
Oh, on your birthday? I thought you meant you like bought them. Like,
I mean, it's still around. If you
like.
Oh no, sorry. You know, if it's still around, you can buy the tickets if you want. No, I just was like, I was buying them, and I'm like, I know I want to go to this, and I know it's something fun to do on my birthday that isn't getting fucking hammered. And I was like, but am I gonna buy 1 ticket? Maybe I should. Maybe I don't know.
I think my piece of art would be the charcoal drawing of Kate Winslet in Titanic. So that's what I want framed and hanging up in my home. The actual drawing.
Nice. Yeah, I want Banksy to paint something on my face.
Yeah, if Banksy could just graffiti the side of my home, that's what I would want.
Yeah, just a child holding a balloon with bullet holes through it or something coded in cryptic like that.
It's a cow saying "I'm sad" or something.
Oh, that's your house.
Yeah.
Brendan, a self-portrait.
They're doing a Banksy immersive thing too, which I want to go to.
In a bank?
Yeah, it's in a bank. It's a very cute way to say bank. You guys want to give me a
Banksy
deposit?
Okay. If you could have chosen your own first name other than your current one, what would it be?
Cunt.
Cunt, huh?
Cunt Cannon.
Yeah. Marshall Mathers Sagalow.
That's first and middle.
I know. Marshall Bruce Mathers Sagalow.
Bruce?
Bruce is his middle name, yeah.
Oof.
Oh, that sucks.
Oof. Bruce? It's his dad's name.
Oof.
Imagine. I know. Imagine.
Oof.
Imagine
everything you're saying about it, and you're trying to defend
nothing's
it for no
getting
reason.
It better.
It's like Eminem's not going to hear this and be like, "Oh, that guy likes my dad's name."
Yeah, I was just about to reach out to Brendan too.
Yeah,
and tell him how much I enjoyed his fandom.
Hip hop, but from the perspective of a real street guy. I like this dude.
Yeah, dude. They want to see if it's true. If it's
Your
you.
hope is that somebody sends him the SoundCloud link, right? Like that's
Yeah, it's not on SoundCloud.
And like Dre, he's digging through cardboard boxes of mixtapes, and he stumbles upon this cherubic white rapper from Astoria, Queens, and he's like,
Hell yeah,
"Who's
dude.
this guy?
Cherubic white
Caucasian?
rapper?
Yeah. The only way this
white
could get any
rappers.
better is if this guy recently released like an album or something that I could.
Yeah.
Wait, he's
That's-
a comedian. Does he suffer from any kind of skin ailment? Because that's what would really nail this home.
Yeah.
Oh, he does. He's flaky.
He would hate me because everybody on Shady Records is like true form gangsters, and I'm like, "Ooh, I'll kill you."
I don't know if they are
Yeah.
true form gangsters. First of all, rappers aren't the hard ones in the neighborhood. They are the geeky poet that sits there and writes about all the gangsters.
True. That was Ice
Yep.
Cube.
Yeah, nobody. They're not bucking shots. I mean, DaBaby, I wouldn't want to get into a physical altercation with because he seemingly has no governor. Like he has
DMX as well seemed like a real guy I wouldn't picture as a poet. You know,
Well,
I
now like
picture him.
Tory Lanez is like. Are you following anything about this guy?
That sounds like
He's
a female fashion line.
I know. I think he's the dude that shot the chick in the foot.
Yeah,
And,
he
like,
shot Megan Lee Stallion in the foot.
and he's like just
Really?
assaulting people all the time. Like
He's
there's
a
new
piece of
story-
shit.
There's a new story on TMZ about him punching a bartender or punching somebody, or like he's like a fucking actual menace to society, just beating people up wherever he goes. It's like I would fucking love nothing else than that guy to try to steal on me, and I would just run roughshod.
Oh yeah, dude, he's like 5'4". He's so
I would
small.
absolutely stomp him out in front of
Yeah.
his boys if there weren't any guns and additional people involved. But like,
Yeah.
I would love to just be some dweeby white guy that he thinks he can bully and just fucking destroy him.
Yeah. Not a bad rapper though. I mean, he's okay. I wouldn't like
Not good
go
enough
out to
shoot
listen to him.
chicks in the foot and like get away with it.
I sometimes get into these rabbit holes of these like underground rappers, and those guys are fucking like, that scares me. I'm like watching the YouTube and they're like just 75 guys in a small kitchen just aiming guns at the camera, and you're like, I'm like, please.
Brendan.
I'm like trying to throw my wallet into the laptop.
Yeah, Brendan's watching this stuff and wondering why he's filled with anxiety and fear on a daily basis.
Yeah.
He's like hearing people scream about murder with guns pointed to the screen directly at him, and he's like,
I know.
why am I on edge?
And I'm just riding a revel through the Queensbridge projects. I'm like, yay!
Dude, I was watching hardcore fist fights before bed, actually questioning why I had anxiety. Like I was just watching, like, just kind of passively scrolling through beatings, like physical beatings of other people, being like, I'm just like anxious lately. Like I don't really get it. And then I'm like, I'm consuming human suffering on a daily basis.
You're like, I don't know why I'm so anxious about everything. Anyway, where's my midtime snake? Where's my nighttime snake? Midtime, sorry. I'm fucking retarded. Damn, dude.
What
that
does
would have been so
nighttime
good.
snake mean?
Bedtime snake.
What does bedtime snake mean?
If I said bedtime snake, I think that would have been funny, but
You mean
I'm
like
gonna-
a
you know what?
snake in your bed?
I'm going to go to sleep and start tomorrow.
I would call myself, if I could rename something, I would do The Simpsons. My name would be Max Power Feeney.
Yeah.
And then when
that would be
people
cool.
compliment me, I go, thanks, I got it off a blow dryer.
I forgot that was the question that we were answering.
That's fantastic. We have a couple more, but guys, remember, additional content on our Patreon, patreon.com/scenario pod. We got a bonus one of these episodes every single week. It actually drops Wednesday, the same day as this. So go check it out for as low as $5. We do a bonus on top of that every single Friday called Blunts with the Boys, which is much looser. It's the three of us being giggly boys after ingesting some THC. I put up my mic on, a lot of through line of pod on this one, but I put up my mics on edibles. I put up my basketball workouts. I got a new one coming where I play Bobby Kelly and Heads Up Poker. We're filming that at the end of the month. So I'm highly produced, really beautiful TV quality shit we're putting all over the Patreon. Sagalow and Feeney do a great job of doing their sketches every single week. They're putting that up early, and we're really throwing the kitchen sink. So sign up. Patreon.com/scenario pod.
Fuck yeah, dude. And also give this podcast a review and tell your friends.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've already said that. But if you stop what you're doing, go to iTunes or wherever you have downloaded this, leave a 5-star review if you feel so inclined. If you don't have the dollars to support us, please do so with your free ability that actually makes a tangible difference in our lives.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Okay, couple more questions. If you could have seduced one person that you knew in your lifetime but didn't, who would you select? I'm gonna go first because I think it just is if you ever met anyone, right? Let's just do that.
Yeah.
So I was doing a show 2 years ago or like last year, whatever, and Doja Cat was in the audience. That chick Doja Cat.
Oh, I remember. I was there.
Yeah, and she just did.
She looked
Oh yeah, you
hot
were there.
as
Where-
She looked
where
so
was it?
hot. This was at some like hotel. They
That's
were
so
doing.
funny. That was before she was kind of big too, because I didn't know who she was.
Well, she just done Saturday Night Live
Yeah.
that night. So they all went to the hotel and then they watched me. And that dude, Billy June, was like saying that she was like loving my act and everything. So, and I didn't even know who she was, dude. I wish I knew who she was. I would have talked to her longer, but I walked by and she like touched my arm and went, "That was really funny." And I went, "Oh, great." And she was wearing like this
Sequence, really
sparkly, like one piece thing. And I went,
So she
"Ah."
touched your arm and tried to engage
I don't
with
know.
you,
She's-
and
yes.
you just fucking went
Well,
like this.
you
with
know,
your
Yeah,
shoulder and
Sagalow
kept walking.
swim moved her and was like, "Yeah, thanks, affirmation."
Yeah, I just went,
Yeah.
thank you. And I
If
like
you'll
walked away.
excuse me, I'm gonna go watch a sad rap battle.
Sad rap battle. But I wish. All I said to her was like, "I like this whole thing," and I like pointed up and down her sequence, whatever, and then I walked away forever.
And then she's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
I
So,
remember that. Yeah, I
That'll be
forgot
the
about
biggest
that.
mistake of my life, and
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. That's something I'd think about a lot.
I think about it every day. I think about it every day.
Sagalow's life could be completely different. He could be a legitimate rapper now.
I've DM'd
Or
her
at
on
least,
every
like, he could
platform she
even-
has.
Even that, you could
No.
you could open up for her. You could do terrible, opening for music type of comedy while she's doing theaters and arenas.
Yeah, what are her fans like? 14-year-old TikTok people that love her music.
I thought they were just.
I like her music.
Yeah, me too.
I
don't
never
her
know.
music.
I don't know it's her until I'm like, oh, this is kind of a fun like
Yeah.
beach vibe song. Who is this? And they're like Doja Cat. I feel like I've said that, like I've asked that question 1,000 times, and it's always like, oh, this is fun. It feels very like 90s.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like it's got that 90s like
She does a
energy
lot
to
of.
it.
She's got a lot of different sound to her shit. But yeah,
She's
that's
really hot. You fucked
She-
up.
I know I fucked up so bad. And that dude Billy always says to me, he's like, "You were her favorite," and I'm like, "Stop bringing it up, please." I fucked
yeah.
up.
You'd be like,
man.
your name isn't even Billy.
Yeah.
Is it not?
No, it's
No.
Daniel.
What?
Yeah, it's never been Billy.
What's his real name? Daniel July? Like, what the fuck?
Daniel December. Danny December.
Danny December.
Is it the Billy June? How dare he?
Yeah.
I think he wanted to protect it from his day job, but it's it's crazy because I've talked to people who at the day job that he works about him, and they're like, Billy, what? They're like, oh, you mean Dan? You mean Daniel? Why would he call himself? He calls himself that? I was like,
He's fired.
Dude,
yeah. No.
That was like when finding out Dave Zach was not, like his name was Mike.
Oh
And
yeah.
I was like, huh? You changed
Dave
your
Zach?
name to, yeah, Dave Zach.
Remember-
who's Mike Holland. That's who that is.
Oh.
And his initial comedy name was Dave Zach because somebody else had Mike Holland.
Wow. I
Yeah,
didn't
so
know
I was
that.
like, first of all, whoever has Mike Holland, I've never heard of. So I think you could try to beat them in an arms race of comedy.
Yeah.
And Dave Zach sucks on ice. Like, what
Yeah.
the fuck? Why would you?
So what does
do
he go
two-
by now?
Mike
Mike
Holland.
Holland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But he named it after Dave Chappelle and Zach Galifianakis, his two favorite
Oh, that
comics.
sucks.
Yeah, I know.
That
I definitely shouldn't have said that, but
sucks.
sometimes you got to ruin somebody's life on your podcast.
I think he's not doing comedy anymore, right?
He is, yeah.
He is.
Where-
He
in
is.
New
That's
York?
actually way more hurtful than anything I've said. So I feel
Yeah,
bad.
I
yeah,
haven't
yeah.
seen him in I haven't seen him in 2.5, 3 years. I haven't seen him 2 years before the pandemic.
I think he's writing. He's like writing for a paper or a magazine or something
Oh,
like that.
Good.
Yeah.
He was funny.
Yeah, he was funny. Still is. Anyway, what about you guys? Who would you seduce?
Did it say seduce? Was that the question?
This was the question. If you could have seduced one person that you knew in your lifetime but didn't, who would you select?
Oh, that I knew in my lifetime.
Yeah.
It's such a good question. So my personal, like, there's a lot of people that I just swung and missed with throughout my life. The one person that I never really gave a shot to, but I had the opening, was my 7th grade English teacher in 7th grade. Like,
you think you could have?
Yes. Like, and I'm not fucking around. This is like, my friends have, she's been to comedy shows. So like she comes out still every once in a while. She's also the first person that let me do stand up in her classroom every Friday in 8th period quiet study. I got 20 minutes to do stand up in 7th grade. And then she was smoking hot. It was insane, and would wear short skirts and would routinely flirt with me and bend over in front of me in front of the class, and affirmed by everybody. They're like, yeah, you guys are fucking, right? And I was just a bald penis little fucking queef.
I mean, it's so funny because that is soaked in hotness, but when you rip it all apart, you're just like, oh, this woman was a pedophile.
She just saw what the investment was gonna grow into.
Yeah, that's. I feel like it was a quite a big bullet dodge that you were having sex with your teacher in 7th grade. That, if I had to guess, there would be really emotional and mental ramifications from that.
I think I have some weird sex shit because in 7th grade I used to get blown in the hallway. Like I used to go to stairwells with this one girl, and that's like really young.
Wow,
it's super young.
Shit. It's so young, and so I don't know if it would have messed me up further, but I obviously eventually slept with a mother like when I was 20. So it kind of evened out. I got my vengeance.
Yeah. I got my dick wet.
Yeah.
I got fucking suspended in 7th grade. That was my first suspension. Was
Me
7th
too.
grade.
For what?
Wow. Hey, hell yeah.
I bet Brendan's is sadder.
It's not. It might be sadder. Let's see. So they banned the Iron Cross from my school because it was like a symbol of like Nazis. But at the same time, there was a skateboard company called Independent Trucks, and their logo was the Iron Cross. And I was like, this is censorship, man. So I drew a giant Iron Cross in the bathroom.
A swastika?
No.
You have
and they suspended
sucked
me
since day one.
The more I find out about Brendan, the less I like.
It's unbelievable.
Hey, buddy, whatever. At least I'm not fucking my teachers in 7th grade.
First of all, I didn't because I was classy, but if I could, I would go back in time and do it.
I don't know any like I don't think I've met a lot of any of the celebrities or anything that I've ever met. Almost none of them have been female. You know what? Speaking of, I'd go back and seduce Leo. That's who I would pick. That's the guy. Yeah.
I forgot that you met him.
Served him, no less.
Wow.
And then
what was the tip?
missed.
How much was the tip?
50%.
About 2 inches.
Wow. Nice, dude. Hell yeah.
Uma Thurman was shockingly hot in person. And not shockingly, she's obviously beautiful. But there is a thing when you like run into a movie star who's an actual movie star and they exude star. It's like it's a very definable quality.
Yeah.
Like when you're around it, and she was just like sashaying across, like almost like floating, like the Martian in the wig in Mars Attacks, like just gliding across Bleecker Street, and I'm standing there barking outside of the Village Lantern, and I was actually smooth with it. I go, hey, Uma, come and see the show. Like I just did it like that in the middle of a bark, and she turned like kind of like, do I know this person? And she looked and she laughed, and then like continued gracefully balleting down the street.
God damn.
God, I want her to shit in my face.
I'm very wrong. I got a person over, Leo. I forgot I met Mila Kunis in Central Park. That's the
There
one
you
and the
go.
only one.
There you go. Tell
And
that story.
And I didn't even bother talking to her. I was too busy trying to talk to Justin Timberlake.
Oh, you ran into? Was it while they were filming that movie?
Yeah, just
Oh my
friends or
God.
whatever.
What did
Yeah.
you say to these people?
To Justin Timberlake, so they were walking from like one location in Central Park to another. So everybody was kind of walking with them, which was fun. So everybody was like, you know, screaming and being like, Justin, I love you and all that kind of stuff. And then they would like push people away and stuff. But I think I recorded on like my iPhone 4S or something because I was like very close to Justin Timberlake or something. And I think I said something like, so, because I just wanted to make him like, you know, react in some way. So I said, Justin, do you smoke as much pot as you did in Alpha Dog? And then he like smiled, looked for who said it, and then kind of gave me like a smiley wink and then kept walking.
Oh,
Nice.
man, that would have made me come on the spot.
Never said I didn't.
If I saw Justin, I'd yell out, man, I'm tired of singing. And then he'd look over and I'd go, fick, fick, fick. And then I'd do the entire dance break from Dirty Pop.
And then he'd fucking eat a shotgun bullet later that night.
Yeah, right. I'd be best friends with him.
Well, what did you say to Mila Kunis? You met her, but you didn't.
Move it, you big-eyed bitch. I'm trying to look at my crush.
Yeah.
Well, Mila Kunis is about 4'11", so she is like a tiny. It feels when you see her in person, she's stunningly gorgeous, but it feels like you'd be trying to seduce a child. Like she looks like a kid, so it's very.
But she's not.
It's very
so it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just feels like one.
I think we can all agree when they look like a kid but aren't, it's the best.
It's called methadone. Convoy on
Pedophilia. Well, that's the show, everybody. Thanks for listening.
how we act.
Convoy on Pedophilia. We'll see you next week.
Go
Check
to
out
here'sthescenario.com, subscribe, write us a review, follow us on all the social medias, and, tell Laugh Button this is your favorite motherfucking show on their network because
Hell
I think
yeah.
they're hemorrhaging podcasts as they get successful. So just make them know what they have while they have it.
For real.
Bye.
The scenario. Here's the scenario.
Here's the Scenario is Mike Feeney, Mike Cannon, and Brendan Sagalow. Executive producers Robert Kelly and Matt Kleinschmidt for the Laugh Button Podcast. For more information about the show, visit here'sthescenario.com.